So here's the last sheet that we have for the review for polygons and parallelograms. So I'm going to kind of fly through this as quickly as I can. I'm trying to get all this uploaded for you guys as soon as possible. All right, which figure below is not a polygon? Remember, a polygon it's a closed, flat, plane figure that has 3 or more sides, which I should have said in the other one. It has to have at least 3 sides. That's the only way you can close it. It cannot have any rounded edges. All the sides have to be segments, line segments, which are straight lines. And no one side can intersect more than 2 other sides. The better way to put that is every side intersects exactly 2 other sides. Exactly 2 others. So A is a polygon. Those are all straight sides. Each side intersects 2 others. B, kind of questionable. Let's go to C. Yes, that's a polygon. D is a polygon. So it's B. Here's where it fails. You see this side right here? That blue side, how many sides does it touch? 1, 2, 3. If we looked at each of these as separate, like just that one or just that one, those are polygons individually, but together they are not, because it breaks that rule of intersecting 2 other sides. So the next thing we're going to look at number 2. The figure below is the example of a, well, you just got to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is a heptagon. So that's a heptagon. Number 3, identify the convex non-polygonal figure. That would be B. We talk about concave and convex in relationship to polygons only in geometry, but when you get into physics and upper level courses in engineering, they start talking about like your glasses, convex and concave lenses, and that's where you'll actually see some curves because they're created by a series of polygons that create curves. So that's B, but don't worry about that. That's not going to be on your test. Number 4, for parallelogram PQLM, if the measure of angle PML is 83, that's this one right here, then what's the measure of PQL? That's this one. Well, it tells you it's a parallelogram, right? What do you know about the angles, opposite angles in a parallelogram? They're congruent. So if PML is 83, what's PQL? 83. They've got to be the same. So number 5, consecutive angles in a parallelogram are always what? Supplementary. What does supplementary mean? They add up to 180. So if I have a parallelogram and this is 80, then this has to be 80, and this has to be 100, and this has to be 100, because the opposite angles have to be the same, and the neighbors all have to add to 180. All right, so if you go to the next page, sorry, some of my marker is bleeding through here. Number 6 says, choose the statement that is not always true for any parallelogram. So A, opposite sides are congruent. That's always true. B, the diagonals bisect each other. That's always true. C, the diagonals are perpendicular. That is your answer. That is not always true. When are the diagonals perpendicular? In a rhombus. Opposite angles are congruent, yes. So that's your answer. So let's look at number 7. Find the value of the variables in the parallelogram. Well, when you have a parallelogram, do you remember how we create alternate interior angles? For example, 31 and x will be the same, so x is going to be 31. So you can cross out all of the ones that don't have x as 31, which is going to leave you with A. That was pretty easy. If this is 130, we go opposite angles. What is z going to equal? 130. So z has to be 130. And y, how do we find y? Well, what do I know the neighboring angles have to add up to? 180, right? If that one's 130, what does this whole angle have to add up to? 50, right? If the whole thing is 50, if I do 50 minus 31, that gives me 19. So that means y is 19. So that's how you got the 19.